Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Umira and I will be presenting the introduction for this report. First and foremost, the objective for this report is to analyze the safety that is being applied in this company. And second one is to observe the management system of occupational safety and health. And the third one is to understand the types of hazards and its solutions. As you can see on the slide, the chosen company is Top Glove Corporation Berhad, which is headquartered in Malaysia. And founded in 1991, Top Glove is considered as the world's largest production of gloves. And speaking about gloves production, that is exactly the main product that will be focused in this report. As you can see on the slides, there is the manufacturing process of gloves production. It starts from formal cleaning to tumbling process. And in between those processes, there are process control and online inspection. And we move to part A. There are three crucial parts which consist of facilities that complies OSHA, safety measures, and the personal protective equipment in the Top Glove company. First one, facilities that complies OSHA is the inspection area, in which this area is the latex dipping line for the workers to inspect the surgical latex glove. And any inspection need to be done to avoid chemical hazard to the workers. And this shown that the Top Glove company clearly followed the OSHA regulation. The second one is rejected material area. Disorganized environment of workplace can be avoided. And besides that, the safety measures that were provided at Top Glove company is fire extinguisher, smoking area, and the emergency assembly area. And last but not least, in every manufacturing factory, the personal protective equipment such as goggles, helmets, and gloves need to be applied to all the workers to avoid any hazards and injuries.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Faiza and I'm going to talk about hazard prevention and control. First, what is hazard? Hazard is source or situation with existence of harm that can cause human injury or ill health, destruction to property, destruction to environment, or combination of all these. In hazard control, we use a method called risk assessment metric where it identifies the potential risk by multiplying the rating of severity point and likelihood point. Severity level point is measurement of impact of the incident, while the likelihood point is the level of possibility for an incident to occur. When the hazard is in the range of 16 to 25, then the job must be stopped immediately because it is dangerous to proceed, because it can cause a lot of damage to individual, building property, and also environment. In Top Glove, there are 4 types of hazard that need to be aware by our worker, which are ergonomics hazard, chemical hazard, falling hazard, and radiation hazard. Ergonomic hazard is a condition that poses the risk of injury to the musculoskeletal system of the worker, which can cause a lifetime of pain and disability, such as strain and sprain of muscle and ligaments, lower back pain, fatigue, and sleep aids. In Top Glove, the example of ergonomic hazard are sitting for too long with extreme posture during glove stripping process and exposed to the loud sound coming from the machine. In order to prevent lower back pain, company must prepare a comfortable chair with back seat for the worker and compulsory the usage of ear protection device such as earplug and earmuff while operating the machine. Next is chemical hazard. Chemical hazard is a type of occupational hazard caused by exposure to chemical in the workplace. The side effects of chemical hazard in the future are pneumonia, tuberculosis, and also cancer. The example of chemical hazard in Top Glove is exposure to poisonous vapor coming from the chemical substances. In order to prevent the chemical hazard, the worker must wear suitable protective attire and equipment such as disposal chemical suit, respiratory mask, goggles, and gloves. Besides, they must read the manufacturer safety data sheet to understand the properties and the safe way to handle the substances. Next is falling hazard. Falling hazard is anything in a workplace that could cause accidental loss of balance or body support and result in falling. The effect of falling hazard are bruise and scratches, broken limbs, internal bleeding, and permanent disability. The example of falling hazard in Top Glove are improper arrangement of chemical barrel in inventory store, inadequate safety requirement for tall vessel tank, and also uneven building structure. The preventive measure of falling hazard are worker must wear complete PPE including harness while doing their job at the higher place. Then company can install ladder with back cover to prevent worker falling from the high place and make secondary containment to organize the chemical barrels. Then company can make frequent check-up and maintenance for the building structure. Radiation hazard is an occurrence that can cause injury or damage due to form of energy such as gamma ray or ionizing radiation. The side effects of radiation hazard are nausea and dizziness right after the exposure of radioactive substances, cancer such as leukemia and lymphoma. Lastly, can cause sterility or mutation if it is exposed highly. The example of radiation hazard in top globe is the reaction between rubber and sulfur during vulcanization process. In order to avoid incident that involve radiation, then worker must wear protective attire and equipment along with radiation tag to determine the current value of radiation that have been exposed to their body. Then, they must immediately wash with non-abrasive soap and water to any part of their body that are contact with contaminant substances. Lastly, the worker must perform radiological monitoring base of the radiation tag and self-quarantine until the reading of radiation reduces.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Alia Nur Amanina binti Abdul Razak and I am presenting about accident investigation and reporting. Accident can be defined as an undesirable or unfortunate event that happened unintentionally without consciousness. It can resulting in injury, harm, damage and loss because of sudden occurrence. Deep investigation can help minimize the risk from existing hazard at certain places. The investigators can gather information on the accidents that took place and determine accident conditions by observing the physical evidence and also interviewing witnesses. There are 4 steps approach that can be implemented when conducting an accident investigation. Number 1 is preserve or document the scene. The reason of this step is to preserve the scene to avoid the evidence from being removed or altered. Next, the second step is collect information. The information can be collected through interviews, document reviews and other means. Number 3, determine the root cause. Finding the root causes goes beyond the obvious proximate or immediate factors, which is deeper evaluation of the accident. And lastly, is implement corrective action. To be more specific, corrective action will not only reduce the risk of future accident, but also improve the company's safety morale and its bottom line. In our case study about Top Glove Corporation Berhad, there are 9 of accidents that we can listed which might happen in the factory. Those are the 9 accidents that could be happen, which are fire and explosion, heat stroke, slipping and tripping, vehicle or transportation, working alone, gas leak, electric shock, moving part, machinery, tool and equipment, and lastly is lifting or other manual handling operation. The first one is fire and explosion. Fire and explosion can be classified as the most tragic accidents that can occur under some unfortunate circumstances. This type of accidents can cause serious injuries and major damages. If there are any fire and explosion accidents happen, some immediate procedure need to be performed. For instance, activate the fire alarm system and report to the employer. If it is out of control, define the type of the fire and report to the authority such as firefighting department. As an employer, lead the way to assemble point and perform head count for all workers by department after building was evacuated. If someone is in bad situation, the colleagues should provide the necessary rescue and first aid. Next is heat stroke. Production of gloves are involved work processes with high temperature. The exposure to extreme heat can cause illness and injuries that can also increase the risk of workers' injuries such as sweaty palms, fogged-up safety glasses, and dizziness. If there are any accidents caused by heat stroke, such as someone was showing symptoms like heavy sweating, pale or else, report to the employer and reach out the medical team. While waiting, colleague can perform first aid service by move the person out of the heat area into cool places, remove the clothes, and have the person drink cool water. The next one is slip and trip. These accidents can happen if someone is not focused on what he or she do at that time. Common causes of slips are included wet and oily floor, spills, and floor that lacks of the same degree of traction. Meanwhile, tripping happens when there is clutter in walkways, poor lighting, and uncovered cables. One of emergency action plan that can be performed is call an ambulance and wait for the arrival of the medical team if the condition of the victim become worse. When that happens, approach the victim calmly and reassure to be alert to any dangers. Do not rush them to move. Lay them down on the floor and look closely how they have fallen to see if there is any obvious bleeding, bruising, and broken limbs. Vehicle accidents in the workplace are among the most common accidents happen across the country. This is because many industries are relying on the use of large vehicles and trucks to complete the task from transporting products to another places. One of the common vehicles involved in workplace accident is forklift. And last from me is working alone. Working alone can be listed as one of the biggest accidents that could be happen because of no one around. It can be happen because carelessness or not paying attention during conducting the mission. One of accident happen are hand and fingers injuries. The employer maybe holds the main responsibility for protecting their employees' safety and health, especially lone worker. However, lone workers themselves have a responsibility to protect their own safety. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Umira Binti, and it is time for me to tell you about the gas leak accident. Okay, this accident could happen if the pipe that supply the gas in the drying process, the boiling water process, and rubber solution warming process that Top Glove use in their factory. Okay, one of the reason of this accident could cause that may due to lack of maintenance. Okay, the gas will leak if there any loose between the pipeline. Okay, when a worker is exposed to these gases, okay, they may experience sickness such as dizziness, breath difficulties, and or burning eyes. Emergency action plan, if that can be taken. Okay, first they need to report to the site supervisor immediately. Okay, do not activate the fire alarm system as it could cause explosion. Third one is all worker must evacuate the area of the gas leak. Okay, the site supervisor shall call the police and firefighter if the gas involve a major area. Okay, emergency evacuation plan. Okay, they need to evacuate the building immediately. And second, if the leakage involving chemical gases, they need to turn off the bulb, immediately initiate evacuation. Okay, the third one is the evacuation. They need to evacuate to assembly point. A person in charge, such as supervisor, okay, they need to perform head count of by each department. Okay, the first aid treatment that can be practiced. Okay, first they need to bring the victim out of the affected area. Okay, they need to dive space for the victim to breathe fresh air. Okay, if necessary, provide a rescue breath, which is CPR, to the victim, and they need to calm down and control the emotion of the victim, and immediately they need to bring the victim to the nearest hospital. The second accident is electric shock. Okay, these accidents could happen when the worker are in direct contact with the electrical supply energy without any protection. Okay, there are two types of shock, which is light and heavy shock, that could cause serious injury such as burn and fatality. For emergency action plan for this accident, do not touch the victim directly to avoid the transfer electrocution. Okay, they need to use something that will insulate the current flow to move the source away from the victim. Okay, they need to turn off the switch or main power source. They need to report to the site supervisor immediately. Examine the victim if the condition is safe from the electrical source. They also need to ensure the condition of the victim and perform, if needed, first treatment. Okay, second, the emergency rescue plan. Okay, there are two types of rescue plan based on the victim condition that can be practiced. Okay, the first one is for the unconscious but with normal breathing. First, they need to lie the victim on their back and kneel on the floor at their side. Second, they extend the nearest arm at the right angle of the body with their palm face up. Okay, and take the other arm and fold on the back of their hand, rest on the cheek and hold it in place. Bend the victim knees to a right angle. Carefully roll the victim into the side by pulling on the bent knee. Okay, their bent knee should be supporting the head, and their extended arm will stop from rolling so far. Okay, they need to make sure the victim leg in the right angle. They need to open the victim airway by gently tilting the head back and lifting their cheek. Check that there's nothing blocking the airways. They need to stay with the victim and monitor their condition until they have arrived. Okay, the second one is unconscious but not breathing. Okay, by using chest compression method, every 30 chest compression, they need to give 2 rescue breaths. Okay, which is CPR. Okay, check that their chest rises and give 2 rescue breath. Okay, continue with the cycle of 30 chest compression to 2 rescue breath until they begin to recover or until the emergency help arrive. For the first aid treatment, after the victim being electrocuted, they will experience some burn injury on their skin or any part of their body. Okay, the minor burn can be treated immediately at the incident scenes, but for the major burn, it must be treated at hospital. Okay. This is some of the procedure to give treatment for minor burn. First, they need to cool down the burn with a cool or lukewarm running water for 20 minutes, which they cannot use ice. Okay. Second, they need to remove any clothing or jewelry that is near the skin area. They need to cover the burn by placing cling film over it. Okay, and they need to use painkillers such as paracetamol or ibuprofen. Okay, next accident is involving moving part machinery, tools and equipment. Okay, the risk of these incidents to occur is high if the workers is handling any moving machinery. There are many cases reported involving this accident, as there are always careless workers in handling this equipment. Okay, for the emergency action plan, if the worker is involved in this accident, do not touch the victim before confirming the level of their injury, and they need to turn off the switch or main power source or the equipment that causing the accidents. Okay, they need to report to the site supervisor immediately. Examine the victim if the condition safe. Okay, ensure the condition of the victim and perform first aid treatment. Okay, the emergency rescue plan, they need to release the compressive foam or the object as fast as possible. Second, They need to call emergency hotline such as 999 regarding the accident. If the victim injury not fatal, support and treat him by doing first aid treatment from the shock and control the bleeding. Okay, they need to monitor and reassure the victim until the rescue arrive. The first aid treatment that can be provided to the victim. Okay, first, if the help is not immediately available, consider removing the crushing object. Action can help to prevent the sudden release of toxin in circulation system. Okay, dial 999 to alert immediate service as soon as possible. The most important is to monitor and reassure the victim. Accident happen in lifting and other manual handling operation. Okay, this accident can cause physical injury. There are certain procedure that they need to be aware of. Okay, such as if they need to operate manual machinery, the individual must have sufficient knowledge about it. Okay. Meanwhile, for the physical injuries such as back and even slip disc might occur to the worker if they try to lift a load that is too heavy. Okay. Okay. The emergency action plan. If the accident occur in manually operation, there are certain procedure that they can take note of. Okay. First, check upon the victim level of injury, either it's minor, major, or fatal injury. Okay, they need to inform the site supervisor immediately, and they need to call 999 if the serious injury involved, and they need to perform first aid treatment to the victim. The first aid treatment, if the accident occur, they need to observe the victim, and then they need to perform the basic first aid treatment such as stopping the bleeding, support the victim. Then they need to call 999 as soon as possible. The most important thing is they need to monitor and reassure the victim that situation can be handled. All these accidents has accident investigation interview, which is included in our report.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Atila. I present my part D, which is Management System of OSHA. Okay. Proceed to my first slide is Daily and Routine Enforcement of OSHA at site. The purpose is to give precaution and reasonable care of the safety of the employees. There are three types of precaution that can be made or handled in the company, which is daily safety meeting or briefing in the morning or exchange of shift. Second one is maintenance. For example, preventive and predictive maintenance. The third one is COVID-19 safety measure. For example, we can wear double mask, safety for social distancing. The second of my side is OSH document. There are 4 types of OSH document involved in this company. The function is to increase effectiveness of OSH management. The first one is ISO 14001 Environmental Management System, which helps to protect environment impact to company, which involving chemical or any substance that can affect ecosystem. The second one is ISO 37001 Anti-Bribery Management, which an organization to approach and practice zero tolerance of corruption. ISO 45001 Occupational Safety and Health, which help to reduce hazard and risk at workplace. The fourth one is quality management, which give many advantages, including increase the efficiency, improve customer satisfaction, and produce greater employees' morale. The third of my side is awareness and training program. There are several programs that be handled or provided by the company, which is Zero Harm Program, which is the main target of the company. Safety Health Emergency Preparedness Program, First Aid and CPR, and the last one is Automated External Defibrillator AAD training. Proceed to my fourth slide, which is application of PPE, personal protective equipment. There are three types of PPE that has been used for a company, which is PPE for pharmacies industry, PPE for manufacturing, and PPE for chemical handling. What is the function of PPEs is to protect workers against safety and health while they are performing their jobs. And the last one is emergency system. Divided by two, which is employer and employees. And for employer, they are before and during the emergency. What is emergency system? The purpose is to prevent fatalities or injuries happen at site. Before is ensure all emergency exits are not locked or any obstacle at doorways, hallway or stairways, and conduct emergency drills periodically. And during the emergency, we can sound alarm and instruct workers to leave the building quickly but safely. And the last one is check whether all workers present or absent at assembly area. For workers, before is be familiar and remember all the emergency plan or fire alarm system at the workplace. The second one is understand the specific procedure when emergency occurs. During the emergency, workers should listen carefully and follow the instruction. Do not rush because it might jeopardize others. The last one is if trapped, stay calm, protect yourself and find the nearest emergency exit. Thank you. That's all from me.
And last but not least, all the objectives have been achieved, and the Top Glove company clearly shown that they followed the OSHA regulation to ensure the safety of equipment and all the workers. Thank you.